Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever ember wanders near.
There's a Sydney Watson video that I want to watch. It's 4 weeks old, so I'm a little behind the curve on this one. But I want to see this because she put out a video a couple weeks ago basically saying that Gen Z is functionally illiterate. Kind of showing the states of, I'm guessing predominantly the US, although I'd say this could also apply to Canada as well. I'm not entirely sure about the UK. It's basically saying like the next generation cannot fucking read. And this should terrify everybody. So let's take a look.
Gen Z can't read. I'm talking to teachers from my high school who are saying, we're not reading books anymore, we're reading excerpts of books. Gen Z is utilizing TikTok summaries of books to write the damn report.
Read the index.
Fail. I'm sorry, if they're watching TikTok summaries to write their reports, fail them. Fuck the No Child Left Behind. You need to start failing students. Teachers need to actually start failing students. If they can't read, fail them. Then repeat the grade. You say just repeat the fucking grade. They need to start failing kids. Like seriously. And parents, you need to start locking in. Parents need to start locking the fuck in and making sure that your kids are actually getting just a basic education. Because the problem is that the kids are not even receiving a basic fucking education anymore. That's the scary part. It's not that the kids are just like, they get an education, but they're just stupid once they get out of school. They're so stupid they can't even get the basics. Yeah, we're we're about to go into read the card thing. This is gonna be terrifying.
Read the index card.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were exaggerating, but some were gauche. What does that mean?
You tell me.
Like, the only part of this card that I could give them is, depending on how you want to pronounce it, gauche. Like gosh, ghost. I've heard it pronounced both ways. That would be the one word that I could give someone where they're like, I don't know what gauche is. That's the one word. Like that one's like, okay, that word is not frequently used. I could see some okay. But silhouette and extraordinary? I'm sorry, that's fucking basic. This is fucking basic. If you don't know what silhouette or extraordinary is, you fail. Like people that get, like, honestly, if you can't read, then you put the fries in a bag. That's the only job you have for the rest of your life.
Gauche. What does that mean?
You tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know. We might genuinely be toast here.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. I am very, very sorry in advance if I'm a little bit flat today. I am suffering from insane allergies, and yes, I took something for them, and no, I don't feel better. I can hardly breathe out of my face. I just want to love the pollen. I don't know why it hates me. Anyway, so a few nights ago, I was perusing my Instagram feed when this video...
Is it too quiet? Do you need the volume up a little bit? But volume okay, or I can up the volume slightly. That's fine. I don't mind. We'll do it to 150. That should be good.
Read the index card.
There we go.
The dog's unwearying loyalty, exemplified in unreciprocated emotional dependency.
Okay.
What? Okay.
Exemplified in the dog's unwearying loyalty, exemplified in unreciprocated emotional dependency.
Okay. Yeah. What's that mean?
It means...
Look at the way she knows she's stupid, so look at the way she's standing. Look at the way she's standing. She knows she's stupid. She knows that she's only got these tits and this ass. That's why she's sticking her... She knows she's on camera, so she's sticking her ass out. She's showing us that ass. Because she knows she's stupid.
I don't know.
Read the index card.
The dog's unwavering loyalty, exemplified and unreciprocated emotional dependency.
What does that mean?
Exemplified means like Is that even a word?
This lad has a series of
God's
videos
sake.
asking people to read a sort of obscure but totally understandable sentence using words like deity, exemplified, silhouette, and gauche. I can understand people not knowing the word gauche, so we will forgive that one. But not the rest.
Honestly, like, in terms of, and thank you, Miss Grian, thank you very much. Honestly, like, one thing that stuck out to me is saying she wore a silhouette of clothes. That was like, I've never heard an outfit or a combination of clothing referred to as a silhouette. That one, like, I know how to say I know. Sorry, Sid, don't mean to, let me, there we go. Not make her look insane. I've like silhouette. I've never heard a combination of clothes or an outfit described as a silhouette. Obviously, we're talking about the pronunciation where it's not like, what the hell does this sentence even mean? But it's like a silhouette of clothes. I mean, I suppose like if we're talking about like it could be describing the way your silhouette looks while wearing the clothing. Like the clothing that you wear gives you a particular looking silhouette when viewed either in shadow or when viewed behind a screen. And the clothing gives you, instead of like obviously being naked and having a very naked silhouette, the clothing gives you a look of your silhouette has a look or a style, you know, when viewed behind a screen. I just never heard that expression before. A silhouette of clothes could be like a sheer jacket over a bathing suit, maybe. It is a weird way to phrase. Like grammatic, I'm not criticizing it being grammatical. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just like, I've never heard that expression before, and it's like, that's weird. I've never heard that expression before, and it just seemed weird.
I can understand people not knowing the word gauche, so we will forgive that one. But not the rest. There seems to be this new trend online where people are showing other people how bad other people are at literacy and comprehension. Readers
Deity had a premonition of impending cataclysmic event? Of the impending cataclysmic event. Wouldn't the deity be the cause of the impending cataclysmic event? I'm sorry, if it's a deity, why would it be having a premonition and not be the cause? I'm sorry, I'm being hypercritical about this, but goddamn, that just the context doesn't work for me.
quickly become frustrated when they don't understand.
The dog's unwavering loyalty. No, don't even. I can't read it.
Read the index card.
She wore a Sylvia of clothes that were extraordinary but somewhat a gooch.
What does it mean?
A gooch?
No, what's the sentence mean?
These people vote. Now, the clips that I just showed you might seem.
Yes, she said it before. I was waiting to go in a little bit further into the video, but yes, as a reminder, everybody, all of the people that can't fucking read are future voters. Shouldn't be allowed. To need a skills test. You want to have the right to vote, you got to pass a basic skills test. Because if you can't read, how do we know that you're reading the name on the ballot? If you are incapable of reading, then how can we be assured that you are actually voting for the person you intend to if you cannot read their name? If you only hear their name and you can't read, how do we know that you'll recognize their name on the ballot?
A little familiar, and this is because they're taking inspiration from a teenage boy called Vec, who recently went super viral for asking students in his school to read similar sentences.
Read the index card for me.
She wore a suit, clothes.
We got suspended for this too, I think. And the city might go over this. If I'm not wrong, I vaguely recall, I think this kid got suspended for basically showing how horrible the school is that half their students are illiterate. Yeah. Am I right? Am I remembering this correctly? Yeah, he exposed the shitty school for like how basically they're graduating students that can't even fucking read, and I'm pretty sure he got suspended for it.
That were
And a lot of teachers are quitting for
who's
this
this
too.
for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat rich.
What does that mean?
And she wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please? She wore a. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say.
By the way, chat, I'm just going to point out something. Notice the speaking dialect of all of these individuals that are incapable of reading. Notice the culture of all of the individuals that are incapable of reading this. Just something to point out.
Can't read it. Can't read it. Can't read it.
I'm not going to make jokes here. I feel like for pretty obvious reasons, and that last clip really
This
made
is,
me
like,
quite
horrified.
sad. But obviously, because of the nature of this video, it went super viral and popped off online, because I think a lot of people were quite confronted by the fact that young people really
Why?
can't read. I mean, they are in Philadelphia. Have you seen Philadelphia? In addition to struggling to read words at all, it became clear that if they could read the sentence, they didn't have any idea what the words actually meant. I mean, at least the kids tried, right? The adults from the first clip were like,
I'm sorry, that doesn't fly. We are, Dick, there's no more at least they tried. I'm sorry, at least they tried. That's not good enough anymore. The age of the participation trophy needs to go away. It needs to end. Because the whole concept of everybody gets a participation trophy is exactly why we are in this situation. By teachers and schools going, oh, well, at least you tried, results in them graduating students that can't fucking read. So I disagree with Sydney. Even maybe she's being like maybe she's being sarcastic in her statement there. But at least you tried is no excuse. At least you tried means that, okay, if this is you trying, then clearly you either need to go through remedial education, or you will never have you're only good for a hard labor job because you can't fucking read. It's simply not good enough anymore.
Now, a few days after his first and second reading videos popped off, Vec posted
There it
that
is.
he would make a part 3 of his series, but his school was threatening him with expulsion, not allowing him to go to prom or to walk at graduation. This news
That is like sue the school. Fucking sue the school. Silas, thank you for the tier 1. Sit like the parent should sue the school and the school board, because that is disgraceful that one of their students exposed the abject failure of their school, and they're going to try and punish him for it. Sue the school, arrest the teachers, arrest the school board, fucking throw them in jail. If the school board is going to try and hide the fact that they have failed at their job by punishing the student, he is a quasi-independent journalist at this point. So if the school board's going to try and punish him for exposing their failures, arrest him, throw him in jail. So, parents should sue the school member of the school board that basically threatening to keep him from going to prom, keep him from walking at graduation. Jail. Put him in jail. Because clearly they're not doing the job anyway. So in the box. I'm done. Like I know I'm jumping to 100 right off the bat here, but I'm sorry. I'm done with this shit. I'm done with people covering shit up. I'm done with people just saying, "Oh, it's totally fine that we're graduating kids that can't even read basic English." And then we're gonna punish people that expose us for not doing our jobs. Yeah, I'm gonna jump to 100. Put them in the box. I'm done.
This news also went super viral because why would you punish this kid for exposing your failures, school? I did a little bit of poking around about this because I'm always skeptical when I see things like this, and I found an alleged statement from the school that basically said that the video took the students out of context, leading to a portrayal that was misleading and unfair.
Wait. Okay, let me read what's hard. To whom I may concern, correct charter school, high school is aware of the video currently circulating in social media involving several of our students. We want to emphasize that the content of this video does not accurately reflect our school community or the values we strive to uphold every day. X to fucking doubt on that one. While some students may have agreed to be filmed, the way the footage was presented lacks important context and has led to a portrayal that is both misleading and unfair. Is it? Even if we're talking about, what was that, 4 or 5 kids that can't read? At least 4 or 5, I can't remember how many kids total was in this clip or how many total there was. Out of context, you literally have a percentage of your student body on the cusp of graduating high school and they can't fucking read. I'm pretty sure that's literally all the context that you need. Period. They're butthurt that they've been exposed for not doing their jobs and for getting paid while not doing their jobs. That's what this is all about. Fuck, there is no, it lacks important context. Really? You have multiple students that are about to graduate high school and can't read. What lack of context are we talking about here? Like, if even one student graduates from high school with the inability to read, that's a failure. That is a failure of the school. There is only one context where graduating from high school, not being able to read, would be allowable. And that would be is if you have a special needs student who either suffers from mental retardation or autism, who because of their mental health, their neuroatypical condition precludes them from being able to, learn how to read appropriately by the time they graduate high school. That would be the one instance where it might be permissible because they have a mental health disorder that prevents that is holding them back. And then, even then, they will just get like a certificate of completion. They might not necessarily get a diploma because the school can't keep them there for years and years and years when they have a mental disorder that is like holding them back by mentally by several years. That would be the only context in which graduating a student who is incapable of basic reading capability would be understandable. Yeah. So some autistic people absolutely have like heightened capabilities of reading. Some autistic people have decreased levels of ability to read. The person in my family who is autistic, they are probably about in terms of their like reading capability and comprehension, I'd say they're probably at an offhand guess, they're probably about at least 2 to 3 grades behind their peers in terms of reading comprehension. So for some autistic people, it can be very heightened. For some autistic people, it can be stymied. It all depends upon the individual. But see, and furthermore, the resulting posts also shared on social media regarding the disciplinary action of the student who recorded the video are also an inaccurate portrayal of our school's mission, which focuses on maintaining a respectful and supportive environment for all students. The toxic positivity. So the school is saying, because you embarrassed us, that's more important than making sure our students can read. The school's mission focuses on an inaccurate portrayal of our school's mission, which is not to educate our students, but maintaining a respectful and supportive environment. The school's mission should be educating students. The school's mission should be preparing these students for life in the real world after they graduate high school. That should be their mission, not for maintaining a respectful and supportive environment. That's toxic positivity. That is everyone deserves a trophy. That is what is destroying the intelligence of our society. Again, they're butthurt because they got caught. They are punishing the person that exposed them. You know, kind of like how California is trying to punish Nick Shirley for exposing the rapid levels of fraud and corruption throughout the state. Yeah, this is the school punishing the student for exposing the rapid amounts of fraud and failure to do their job and getting paid God knows how much for it. Same thing.
Righto. The statement also subtly confirms that action was taken against Vec, but it didn't involve expulsion, suspension, blocking him from graduation, or...
Wait. Although they do not allow us to discuss the details of this point in action, we can confirm that the student in question was not facing expulsion, nor being denied prom or graduation. Okay, so prom, I would say they probably denied that. They didn't say they were going to deny Brett the ability to graduate. They said they were going to deny him the ability to walk down graduation. Not that he wouldn't graduate, but he would not be able to walk down the ceremony. That's what he said. He said walk at graduation. Not that he wouldn't graduate, but that he would be able to walk down the aisle and receive his diploma with his peers on graduation day.
Prom or whatever. Well, I guess whatever happened to this kid can't have been that bad because he's gone ahead and made 8 more of these videos now.
Nice.
And yes, they are all as bad as each other. He even started asking his fellow students to read cursive, which is really a thing to behold.
Oh, God help us all.
Hello?
What the fuck? Wait.
Okay. Yes, it says people, I know. I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna do a gimme here. Okay, I'm gonna do a gimme on this one. This doesn't bother me. This not being able to read cursive, this doesn't bother me. Because the reality is, yeah, cursive is not being taught in schools anymore because it's not being used. Cursive, exactly. Cursive is useless. The only time cursive is used is when you do your own signature. That is literally the only time you use cursive anymore. The original intention is, because here's the thing. Do you know what the original point of cursive was? Does anybody know what the original intention, why cursive writing was basically quote unquote invented? Exactly. To write faster. Because writing in cursive, because it is a flowing script, you don't have to lift and lower your writing utensil from the surface as often with printing. It was to write faster. It was so you could do your correspondence faster than printing. In an age where everybody has a phone, everybody has a computer, everything is being done via typing, which is faster than both print and cursive. Realistically speaking, cursive has become a useless writing skill. It truly has. There's no purpose for cursive writing other than for your signature, because it's a quick way for you to do your signature. That's it. So I'm actually not going to give any of these people shit about not being able to read cursive because it's not taught anymore, and there's honestly no need to teach it anymore. There's no purpose left for it whatsoever.
Did that just say reptile? What the fuck?
What do I say?
Not writing on paper, but cursive. Like printing on paper, sure. I mean, obviously you need to be able to learn how to print, but writing in cursive, it's unnecessary. With the explosive use of computers and smartphones for your writing, which is 10 times faster minimum. Cursive writing it's not needed anymore.
Pickle?
I'm not terribly surprised that schools don't require kids to write in cursive anymore, but it does bother me a lot. I was genuinely not able to get my pen license in grade 4 unless I properly learned to write in cursive, so today's kids will never know that struggle. Hello.
Pen license?
Yeah, that was like a thing when in Australians. Well, I actually don't know if it was Australian schools or just my school. Yeah. I have like an actual little document at home.
I would disagree. Being able to read and write cursive is good mental exercise that builds mental acuity. I don't disagree with that sentiment that it's good to build mental acuity. I don't disagree with that sentiment, but in terms of importance these days, it's low on the importance scale. I would rather kids simply be able to read at an appropriate level when they graduate high school versus needing to be able to read and write cursive.
That they laminated for us. I was one of the last kids in the class to get it.
Y'all are all gay.
Yeah. Yeah, growing up in Australia was a wild time. It's also pretty wild being able to earn actual money by playing mobile games, which is what the sponsor of today's video, Free Cash, can do for you. But before you skip this, you better not skip it. I just want to show you, and I don't know if you can see that, I have made $195 playing one game with Free Cash. I really play it, so this is not a joke. You can earn actual money. And so now we're gonna play the ad. Listen, I'm gonna level with you all. You probably hear about a sponsor like Free Cash and think, yeah, there's absolutely no way that an app is making me any money. And I'm not gonna lie, I 100% had the same thoughts initially as well. So I decided to actually give it a go for a period of time. And as you can see here, hopefully that you can see this, I have a 53-day streak. And you can also see by my balance that I have made almost $200 playing one game. And it's this silly little solitaire game that I play at night when I want to unwind. And that's actually because in this solitaire game, through Free Cash, I can make a couple $100 every time I beat specific levels, which is crazy. I already know that the vast majority of you are playing mobile games or playing actual video games or just doom scrolling in your free time, so why not actually make some cash while you're at it? Free Cash is an online loyalty platform where users all over the world can sign up and earn extra cash by playing mobile.
What it is they're getting you to download the game. You notice they're all on, because she's on an Android phone, they're all on the Google Play Store. So what it's doing is it's getting you to download they're probably working partnership with these games, get you to download them from the Google Play Store, which collects your data, basically this app is probably working in partnership with these app creators that, basically promote our game. You download the game. They harvest your data, they sell your data to data brokers, and these guys probably get a little bit of a cut, which allows them to pay you a pittance to play the game. That's basically how it works.
Games from different categories. And unlike other platforms, Free Cash is actually free to use. There are no subscriptions, no hidden sign-up fees, just you, your phone, and the chance to win and earn actual money. This platform is also tried and tested like no other, proven by their 4.7-star rating with almost 280,000 reviews on Trustpilot. When you sign up, you know what you're getting, which is the opportunity to make some extra cash by playing fun little games that you like Disney Solitaire, which is the one that I've been playing, and if you don't believe me, I am over level 1600. Do not judge me. You can also pick from a list of offers, choose one that you like, download it, play the game, and Free Cash will track your progress. Make sure that you have app tracking enabled, that way the app can reward.
Allow it to track your activities, to use your data. Again, it's all a data harvesting scam. Sorry, Sydney. Hate to bust the bubble. This is a data harvesting scam.
Reward you for everything you do. You can even make a few in-app purchases to speed things up because they give you cash back for that as well. What's extra cool is getting an additional $10 bonus when you start your first.
I should make it clear. I don't fault Sydney for taking the sponsorship. She's a YouTuber. She needs to take on sponsorships to pay the bills, because YouTube right now, with the way YouTube is basically suppressing fucking everybody except their top 1% of creators, people have to earn money if you're going to be a YouTuber somehow, and they take subscriptions. So I'm not faulting Sydney for taking the subscription. I'm not. She's just trying to earn money so she can continue to make these videos. So no shade on her whatsoever.
Offer when you use my code. So download Free Cash today using the link in the description and start padding out your savings account a little bit. Get up to the couple $100 in there like me. So obviously in making this video, I learned a tremendous amount about how illiterate everybody in America is and how literacy rates, especially among young people, are quite...
Wait, she's a professor. I don't think she needs the money as much as you think. Gamer, have you heard how much professors actually make? I don't think she's an active professor, and professors don't make all that much money. They're not, unless they are like a seriously tenured professor, like seriously tenured, and they're in like a high-paying school, they're not making that bad. Yeah, she's got like I think she has a doctor. I believe she has a PhD, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she absolutely makes more money off YouTube. Oh, absolutely she does. She isn't a professor at all. It's a title she put on her X account. Oh, okay, so she's not a professor. Okay, so no, Sydney is not a professor. It's just a title that she put. She got an honorary PhD. It's paper and a bit. Okay, so honorary PhD. There you go. Mystery solved.
Possibly the worst they've ever been, and I find that fact wildly depressing.
I don't know if I should find this very sad or very hilarious, but this is actually crazy. Illinois has 24 schools where not a single child can read at a grade level.
What?
Illinois State Board of Education schools with 0 students scoring proficient on the IAR or the SAT.
Oh my God, look at the graduation rates. Like, not only the students proficient in reading, look at the graduation rates. There is a college here. I'm not sure which one it is. It's one of these YCCSs. Has a graduation rate of 21%. 21% of their students actually graduate. That's insane. That is fucking insane. Like 21%, 28%, 36%, 38%, 50%. Like, what are we doing? We have 0, like none of these schools, and not one of these students are proficient in reading. We have one that is a 91% graduation rate. Not one student is proficient in reading. What the fuck? This is horrific. Youth Connection Charter School. Okay, so the charter schools. This is terrifying. Yeah, it's No Child Left Behind. Are these community colleges where people transfer for credits? These are high schools. These aren't colleges. These are high schools. Their graduating class for 24 schools has 0 reading proficiency. This is criminal. This is fucking criminal. There needs to be a state investigation. Although, if they graduated from any of these high schools, maybe the state investigators won't be able to read either.
In 2024, these are all the schools that are listed right here, and you see that number right here, students proficient in reading, 0. Like, bro, what the heck is going on, man? Kids cannot even read on the first grade level. Think about that for a second. Do you know how sad that is?
I also learned by extension that Gen Z and Gen Alpha just fundamentally lack other core skills, like being able to tell time or look people in the eyes when they speak to them. Unfortunately.
Yeah, the telling time thing. Yeah, thank you, Lumia. Thank you for the tier 1. Yeah, there's a lot of people that cannot read a standard analog clock. Like a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, if you give them an analog clock, they will not have a fucking clue what it says, like what time it is. They will have no sweet clue. And yeah, then it's not referring to that bullshit time blindness thing. It's literally they look at an analog clock and can't figure out what time it is. Like that basic. But yeah, there is also that time. I've got time blindness. I just can't tell how much time I'm taking for anything. So if I show up for work 2 hours late, it's because of my time blindness and you can't fire me. Yes, that bullshit.
Making eye contact seems to be a non-cultivated skill in this group. Same goes for blinking. You do not blink enough. As much as technology has had some material benefits and many things that have helped us as a society, I think that the over-reliance on it, particularly in households, but also in the education system, is having some incredibly deleterious effects that we are.
Hello, wheelchair. Welcome in. I'm glad you've enjoyed the YouTube videos. I hope you like the live version just as well. Now buckle up. We're about to lose our faith in humanity. And yet what? You've not heard about time blindness? Yes, that is, granted, time blindness is not a thing. Let me make this nice and sparkling clear. Time blindness is not a thing. It is an excuse. So like Gen Z and Gen Alpha can like when they go to when they have a job and they decide they want to fuck around for 2 hours and show up 2 hours late and then say to the boss like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have time blindness. I had no idea what time it was. I got so caught up and it's my time blindness and that's why I'm 2 hours late." This is not a thing. And any person that goes to a job and says, "I have time blindness," fuckity bye. Next. Or any person that actually has a job and shows up late to work and it makes the excuse of, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's my time blindness," fuckity bye, you're fired. End of discussion. Sorry, time blindness does not exist. That's literally just an excuse for, I was too busy fucking off and didn't want to come to work. And hang on, I don't know why this is not full screen. All right, we'll do it this way then.
Also in the education system is having some incredibly deleterious effects that we are seeing play out now, and no one really seems to be taking measures to stop it. And unfortunately, teachers have been screaming about this for years and years and years, and their protests have fallen on mostly deaf ears.
I talked about this. I think we may have I can't remember if we actually watched on stream, but I've seen videos of these teachers that have basically gone onto social media and have basically been like sounding the warning alarms, going, "These kids are fucking stupid. That they're kids in high school that can't even function at a 5th grade level or a 6th grade level." Multiple teachers going, "This is fucking scary. This is a problem. We need to address this because we are basically sending an entire generation out into the world and they can't do shit. They can't read. They can't math. They can't think." And it's an entire generation. They've been sounding the alarm for this for years and nobody's listening to them. Instead, the governments just blame all the problems on the teachers and then they take money away from them so they can't teach so they have even less to work with to teach.
Elementary school kids are not reading. Kids are not reading. Kids cannot read. It doesn't matter if your child's at an A school or if your child's at a D school or if your child's at a charter school or a private school. I have seen kids at all areas. They all struggle. They all struggle because they don't have exposure and they don't have consistency with reading.
I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
7th grade English teacher here. I teach in Northern Houston.
Hey, I gotta be quiet because he's gonna be spitting facts here. I want to say it. I'm not gonna say it. This man is gonna be spitting facts, and I don't want to. I don't want to downplay the facts that he's spitting. I gotta shut up on this one.
And I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious. It doesn't exist. I have kids constantly asking me, how do I spell window? How do I spell important? How do I spell though? And they be serious. They're dead serious.
Okay, gamer, it might help if you as a teacher spoke proper English.
How do I spell though? And they be serious. They're dead.
No, the word you're looking for is, and they are serious, or they're serious, not they be serious. If you're gonna be a fucking teacher, especially if you're gonna criticize on them being able to read and write, you speak the proper fucking English language, you fucktard. Like, if this is how the teachers are talking, if the teachers are talking good, then yeah, I don't count on the students learning. It's pretty fucking basic. You are the teacher. You are the example. You're literally supposed to be leading by example. So if you can't speak proper fucking English, what makes you think that the students are going to be able to learn proper fucking English of reading or writing? For fuck's sake. I was gonna not say anything about the nose ring because I was hoping this man was gonna be spitting some facts out about how bad things are, but I'm sorry. You start talking hood, I do not want to teach a talking hood in school. I don't want that. If you are going to be a teacher, you speak proper English. You don't do, especially if you're, especially if you're complaining about literacy levels of students. You cannot speak regarding poor literacy in school if you cannot speak proper English.
It's serious. I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. It took us 4.
No, his nose ring is not. No, his nose ring is not a hood emblem. His speech patterns is the hood emblem. Okay, that's the speech patterns is the culture. And yeah, I could hear him. He was like on the cusp of saying, instead of saying when I ask them, you could hear it in his voice. He wanted to say X when I asked them. You could hear that in his voice. He was on the cusp of saying that. Yeah, the piercings is basically just he's probably gay. That's probably what it is.
4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
If you go on TikTok especially, you will see video after video of teachers losing their minds about the core skills that kids just don't have. And you can see how frustrated they are that there is so little that they can do.
Like, I do feel like, I feel his struggles. I'm not like, he's still spitting facts about the fact that kids cannot read in school, that they are not being taught literacy in schools. I still like it. It doesn't diminish the message that he's trying to convey, the warnings that he's trying to convey to the populace. But I'm sorry, standards. There needs to be standards. Yes, you can understand what he's saying, but there, we need to get back to a standards for teachers where you are. A little bit. I am. I will freely and fully admit that I am nitpicking on this one. I'm indulging in a bit of nitpicking. It's my stream. I do what I want. What? My feeling is, if you are a teacher, when you as a teacher, you spend a great deal of time with children during their formative years, during those years when they are most malleable. Okay, grade school, middle school, high school, that is when children are at their most malleable. Their time in school shapes how they will continue on in life beyond high school. As a teacher, you should basically be a figure of students to look up to. You should be an individual that your students respect because you are imparting knowledge upon them to advance them further in life. You cannot accomplish that if you're talking hood. Because all that's teaching these children is, well, I'll just speak hood, and that's what I'll do. If all they do is hear hood when they're getting taught, then they'll leave high school and be hood and go nowhere. You are not, because despite popular opinion of some people, you are not making it in life speaking hood. Maybe 0.0001% of people that actually like routinely speak hood will actually be able to make it in life. The reality is the vast majority of people that exit high school and maintain that hood rat or ghetto rat mentality and method of speech will not succeed. They will not succeed. They'll either be in a low-paying shit job or they're going to be a criminal. That's just facts. Because businesses don't respect people that act hood. They don't. They respect people that speak proper English and that have a half-assed decent vocabulary and know how to communicate. Because in business, communication is key. You cannot communicate if you're speaking in hood or speaking in ghetto. That's just facts. So if they're letting these kids out and they're just not educating them to basically how to use the English language properly, they are behind the 8 ball and they will not succeed.
do when parents refuse to step up. I even found this one video of a year 11 student commenting on an assignment the class was given that really looks like it was designed for small children.
Hearing people talk about how kids in this generation cannot read anymore, it reminded me of an assignment that I got in my English class. Keep in mind I'm a junior in high school. This was our assignment.
Commonly confused word. What? What? You're giving juniors in high school third grade work. This is third grade work at most. At most, this is third grade. Oh my God. This is horrifying. This is absolutely fucking horrifying. It's just... holy shit. Like, Gen Z is cooked. Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're fucking cooked. This is that, like, and the fact that they're issuing this assignment to juniors means that some of these kids are failing this. This particular individual obviously got a 100% score because they're obviously a reasonably intelligent person. But the fact that they're even issuing this worksheet means that there is a significant number of the student body that can't figure this out. Holy shit.
Are we serious? And kids were getting answers wrong. They were getting some of these wrong. This is elementary level work.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like, I should not be able to take a nap in my English class and still pass with like a 95, I think. I should be up and doing work.
To be clear, the assignment says, circle the confusing word that best completes each given sentence. By confusing words, they mean words that are spelled different but look similar to another word, like loose and lose, quite and quiet. We are so fundamentally screwed. This is unfortunately the type of thing that we were doing in primary school as 6-year-olds. Choose and chose, just by the way, are just different tenses of the same verb. Anyway, the kids don't know.
I was gonna say, like, some of these is, but yeah, the choose and so they're setting up these kids. Not only are they giving these kids grade 3 assignments, they're setting them up for failure. Like, hang on. So okay. Choose and troll, yeah, okay, but it's the what is it? Is it the participle? The pre-participle? I had to it's like, yeah, choose and chose are the same thing, but look at the preceding verbiage. So that would inform upon which to choose. But like, hang on, where's the then can or may I ask you a question? This is the same thing. Can I ask you a question? It's more about like the word that best completes it. So it's like you can in modern English you can actually, as asked, can I ask you a question? That is commonplace. It is commonplace to say, can I ask you a question? May is the more proper form. It is if you're grammatically, may I ask you a question is the more grammatically correct answer. But can in modern day is also perfectly acceptable, honestly. Yeah, may is permission, can is capacity. But look at it in the context. Can I ask people have been excuse me. If you're looking at it in context, especially in the context of this, can I ask you a question could also be considered a correct answer. You know? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm being actually hypercritical at this point. You know what? I may be actually getting hypercritical. So I'm just gonna. I think I'm so fired up. I think I've hit that phase. I need to woo-saw a little bit and just let it ride a little bit more.
by the way, are just different tenses of the same verb. Anyway, the kids don't know anything about any of that, but they sure do have time to go to political protests, or their teachers have time to cancel all of their classes to also go to political protests.
So these May Day walk.
Yes. And here it is. Now, granted, this kind of thing has only been happening within the last year. Teachers canceling classes or doing field trips to political protests. This has only been happening since like halfway through 2025.
Irony is you can ask these kids about progressive ideology and they'll spout it like they're scholars.
No, they won't. I actually disagree. You ask them about progressive ideology, they're still going to vomit up bullshit that doesn't make any sense. They're not going to spout it like they're scholars. We've heard it. We've heard these uneducated retards talking, when they're asked about their political ideology, and they just like vomit up gobbledygook that doesn't make any sense. So even in regards to the political ideology that they supposedly espouse to, they still can't fucking talk. They still can't use proper terminology. They can't even follow the fucking script. They trip over their own tongues trying to follow even the fucking script because they can't read. But again, this whole thing of basically teachers canceling class or even taking students themselves to protest, this has been only really happening, at least widespread, since about midway through 2025. That's a tiny infinitesimally small gimme that I will do about this is that all of these incidences, it's basically since the Minnesota thing. It's like when the Minnesota thing popped off, that's when teachers started canceling classes to basically urge their students to follow their ideologies and follow their politics and go protest and brainwash them to going to the politics. So that's the reading issue, though. However, that has been a problem for years. This right here has basically been this has only been going on for about a year.
Lockouts and staffing issues are disrupting schools, our kids' educations, especially in blue states and cities like Madison.
Which is criminal. Every single one of these teachers that did this and every administrator that did this should be fired. Every one of them fired and never allowed to teach again. Go put the fries in the bag. Actually get teachers in there that will actually teach them. These are educators that are indoctrinating children, and every single one of them should be fired. And possibly criminal charges being laid against them, but absolutely fired, never to teach again. Go put the fries in the bag.
In Wisconsin, like Chicago. Out in North Carolina, more than 20 districts are affected by these protests. One Wisconsin mom says, this is more than just a day off.
It turns out I don't want your opinion on politics when you can't even spell politics. Oh, and it also isn't just Gen Z who is basically totally illiterate. The newest generation to be hitting the education system, Gen Alpha, are infinitely more cooked than their predecessors.
Everybody wants to bash on Gen Z, but did you guys know that Gen Alpha can't read? I was talking to one of our church kids, and he very boldly told me, yeah, I don't know how to read and neither does anybody in my class.
Why are you doing this while you're driving? Why are you making a TikTok while you're fucking driving? You're not. Is she actually okay? Is she? I wasn't sure if it was like reverse angle because it was the front facing camera.
Mind you, this kid is starting 5th grade in August, okay? And I thought he was playing, so I told him, kids will do anything for money. So I was like, I'll give you $10 if you can tell me what this bag says. It said chips.
I freaked out for a second because I thought maybe the angle. I thought because the angle was reversed in the video footage and that she was actually in the driver's seat. Okay.
He told me, yeah, I don't know how to read and neither does anybody in my class. Mind you, this kid is starting 5th grade in August, okay? And I thought he was playing, so I told him, kids will do anything for money. So I was like, I'll give you $10 if you can tell me what this bag says. It said chips in giant letters. And I said, you can sound it out, you can try spelling it or whatever to help you read it. Because I thought he was lying. So this dude goes, CHIPS. And I go, what does that say? And he goes, potatoes. Y'all, we're cooked.
I think the thing that hopefully should be obvious about all of this is that these young people are going to become adults who won't be able to function in society. And actually, on a long enough timeline, society in and of itself will probably collapse because it will be full of adults who don't know how to do or say or read anything. It's
we're literally on a bullet train to idiocracy. That's where, like, Mike Judge was trying to make a satire. I don't think he realized he was being Nostradamus and telling the future, because that is the route we are on the way to. We are literally headed straight for idiocracy. This is insane. This is absolutely insane.
Probably going to play out like Idiocracy, where there's one person who can kind of read and everybody else considers that person to be some sort of wizard specimen. I don't even have kids and I feel failed by them. Back in January, Fortune magazine published an article titled, Gen Z are arriving to college unable to even read a sentence. Professors warn it could lead to a generation of anxiety and lonely graduates.
No. Professors should be warning that this could lead to a downfall of modern society. Forget about a generation of anxious and lonely graduates. It's going to lead to a non-functioning society. If college freshmen can't even read a sentence, how are we expecting them to literally do anything to facilitate running the country once they quote unquote graduate? This is not simply, oh, they're going to be anxious and lonely. No, they're not. They're going to be fucking. Trust me, they're not going to be anxious and lonely because the people that are graduating with them won't be able to fucking read either. So it's not like they're going to be anxious and lonely because they think they're going to look foolish in front of their peers. Their peers can't read either. And they're not going to care because they're still going to be fucking, and they're still going to be, they're still going to be breeding, and they're going to be breeding idiot, illiterate children who can't read either. The problem is, we are expecting these Zoomers to be the next generation to run the planet, or at least run the country, and they can't, because they can't read. That is a far more alarming situation than they are going to be anxious and lonely. Like, priorities, people. And thank you, Griffin Knight. Thank you for the tier 1.
The article goes on to discuss how the education system is essentially being forced to lower the bar that is basically already in hell anyway, because young adults are showing up to college classes unable to read or understand even a single sentence. Okay, so it turns out...
Then take them out. Then you can't... If they cannot read or understand a single sentence, get out. Go do menial labor. That you go make big rocks in the little rocks. Go do a job where you don't need to read, and because you're in college. If you need to learn how to read simply by the time you're in college, you still don't know how to read. You're done. Get out. Go do a job that doesn't require you to read. Go pick up garbage. Go make big rocks in the little rocks. Go put the fries in the bag. Go scrub the toilets. You don't need to read to do that. Like, we need to start reading these things. The problem is if they cannot read by the time they get to college, then they're coddled, which means they can't learn. This is a result of toxic positivity and coddling, and if that continues into college, we are dooming ourselves as a society. So it's time for tough love. It's time to get tough on these. So a Zoomer shows up to college, I can't read. Cool, then you don't get to college. Bye. Fuckity bye. Go pick trash. Go clean the toilets. That's basically all you're good for. Because if they can't read by the time they get to college, it's not like we're dealing with intellectual geniuses. So it's not like we're stymieing a misunderstood genius or anything like that if they can't even fucking read. So fuck it. Turn them into workhorses. Turn them into, have them scrub. Have them clean the streets. Have them scrub graffiti. That's their job. Your job, you can't read? Okay. Your job now is to scrub graffiti off. You're now a city worker. Your job is to every day scrub the graffiti off the walls. That is your job. That is not your life. Go. Okay, you can't read? Okay, your job is to go pick up all the trash. Every day, all day. That is your only job. That is all you will be for the rest of your life. Bye. You're a garbage picker for the rest of your life. Seriously. Because by college is too late. The game is over. If they can't read by the time they get to college, it's game over. It's too late. You have no value to society. Sorry. If you're that fucking stupid, you don't have any value. If you didn't bother trying to learn how to read through the entire 12 years of school before arriving at college, and you didn't even have tried to apply yourself to learn the most basics of how to read, you offer no value to society. You are obviously no intellectual genius because you can't even fucking read. So you get to do all the menial bullshit that no one else do. You don't get a choice. Fuckity bye. That is your job from now on. And leave the colleges open for people that actually do learn, the people that are intelligent, the people that actually do try. That's what we have to do. That is literally what we have to do right now, because if we keep going the route we're going, the rates of stupidity are going to get higher. And if you start punishing these people that don't bother to try and learn, if you actually put your foot down and say, we will not accept that you cannot read by the time you get to college, if we as a society finally put our foot down and say, we will not accept this, then it will force the kids to start actually getting the education, even if they don't want it. You basically say, you're getting an education or you're going to be scrubbing graffiti for the rest of your life. And that's not a scare tactic. That's reality. Guarantee if you do that, they'll start studying. They'll start applying themselves. They're not going to be fucking off the rallies because their teachers say, go protest. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, no, teacher, get back here and teach me because I don't want to be like Jim Bob Joe or Jerome, who has spent the last 30 years scrubbing graffiti off the brick wall. I actually want to do something meaningful with my life. You make an example of these people, and then the next batch coming behind goes, ooh, I don't want to end up like that. I'm actually going to apply myself. You put the fear of God into them that their life will be over if they don't apply themselves. They'll actually apply themselves. Because that is the core fundamental of literally humanity. The core principle of humanity and society is people will not do anything unless they are scared. Fear is what drives people to do things that they don't normally want to do, like learn. It is a core principle. And and why is this true? Because it works. That's why. It fucking works. If you have a bunch of students that just fuck off, because that's what's happening. That's why they can't read, because they spend all their time fucking off, and the teachers don't actually discipline. The teachers don't actually sit them down and say, you're gonna do this shit. They don't actually fail them. They don't actually tell, if they fuck off in class, they don't say, cool, you're staying after school for an hour and you're gonna fucking learn, or you're forced to do summer school and basically take away their summer freedom because they decided, oh, learning's not important, so you're gonna make them learn and make them stay for the summer, because God knows summer school isn't a thing anymore. You take them and you show them the guy that has to scrub the graffitis off the wall for the rest of his life, or the guy that has to pick up trash for the rest of his life, or the guy that has to clean toilets for the rest of his life, and that's all he's going to do because that's all he's capable of, because he's not smart enough, because he didn't get an education to do anything beyond that. You show them that and say, hey kids, that's your life. If you don't study, guess what? They're going to go, fuck that shit, buckle down, and actually try to get at minimum a basic education so they can function in the world. You use fear because it works.
That the adults cannot read either. That is tremendous news. This article goes on to quote a professor called Jessica Wilson, who said that she has to read things out loud because she knows there is no way any of her students have done the reading the night before. She says even when you read it in class to them, there's so much that they can't process about the very words that are on the page.
Then you have them read it out loud. If you as a teacher give them a reading assignment, when they come in the next day, you say, okay, Jamie, read the first paragraph. And if they go, I can't teach. Cool. You're staying after school for an hour. Elizabeth, Read the first paragraph. Teacher, I can't. Cool, you're staying after school an hour afterwards so you can learn. Like, that's what you have to do. You can't just do this shit where instead of making the kids read, the teacher goes, well, I know they didn't read it, so I'm just going to read it for them. No, you're infantilizing these children when they are not infants. This is the result of infantilizing students, is that they're not going to be able to function in society after they graduated. They're either going to be in extremely low skilled jobs or they're going to be criminals.
Page. Another theology professor.
They either won't show up after class and just purposefully won't pay attention. Then you punish them. Then you basically punish them and say, cool, you have no choice, but you have to attend summer school. If they don't attend summer school, truancy officer, arrest them. If they won't pay attention, you make them stay after class, you make them do summer school. They don't show up, truancy officer, arrest them. They'll care if they get hooked up by a police officer and gets put in a juvenile, where they have no choice but to learn. Yeah, bring back the corporal punishment. If they don't want to learn, fuck it. Summer school, they skip summer school, truancy. There is punishments available that they're not cruel punishments by any stretch of the imagination. If teachers, administrators, and lawmakers would have the fucking balls to institute it, so we don't have a failing society because we have an entire generation and beyond that can't function.
Professor from Notre Dame, and no guys, I'm never saying this university is Notre Dame because that just sounds incredibly stupid. Anyway, he said that he would assign 25 to 40 pages of reading early in his career, like many, many years ago, and students would do the work even if they struggled with it, or they would tell him that they were struggling and he would help. Now, he says that he'd be hard-pressed to get a student to even engage with that much text, and now they have AI summaries to carry them through their courses.
Gen Z can't read. I'm talking to teachers from my high school who are saying, we're not reading books anymore, we're reading excerpts of books. Gen Z is utilizing TikTok summaries of books to write the damn report. They're also out here complaining when they get a big ol' F on that. Zillennials were the ones who were at the peak of public education. We had to read, not just a book, we had to read books.
If this doesn't depress you.
But except many didn't, because we just saw the reports that Zoomers can't read. Oh, so wait, he's talking about Zillennial. He's talking about that bridge between Millennial and Gen Z, isn't he? I don't think I've ever heard that expression before. That's what threw me. I don't think I've ever actually heard Zillennial before. That's why it kind of threw me for a second. So Zillennial, I have great thought about it for a second. I picked it up. Zillennial is basically referring to that bridge between the tail end of Millennials and the beginning of Gen Zers. It's that probably couple year bridge between those two generations. They call them Zillennials.
I don't know what will. You know, the thing that really gets me is you have Scandinavians being pooped out who speak 40 languages from the time they're as big as a potato, and meanwhile Americans are over here like...
Sylvia of clothes.
Anyway, given all of the reading difficulties and comprehension issues that young people have in university, their professors are having to tailor their lesson plans and whatnot, their lectures and what have you, to all of these difficulties. They're having to give shorter assignments and whatnot. They're having to return.
And that's the failure. That's part of the failure. Is the fact that they're changing their teaching stuff. They're changing their teaching methodologies to accommodate a populace or a generation that is steadily growing dumber and dumber. And so they're dumbing down their lessons plans. So they're coddling these idiots instead of maintaining their lesson plan, maintaining their teaching style, and forcing these students to catch up. And if you don't catch up, you get left behind and you go scrub graffiti off a brick wall for the rest of your life.
Turn to the same piece of literature over and over and over again to ensure that the students engaging with it, because you can't even say reading it because they're not reading it. The students engaging with it just happen to understand what's being said. And even after all of that, they probably still don't. Like I said, dumbing things down like this is why I maintain that Idiocracy is actually a documentary. Like I mentioned before, it's not just reading that's the problem. It's not just
education was better not simply 200 years ago. Education was better 50 years ago. Okay? Education was just I'd say, I would actually say we probably hit peak education roughly around the early 2000s. I would say early to mid 2000s, maybe up to 2010. I would say that was when we were at peak education levels. Because we not only had the old school education that had been established before, as established then, and then we also had the introduction of the newer technologies, which schools were incorporating into their education. So kids were learning coding, kids were learning web design in school. These were valuable skills. They were valuable technical skills on top of their existing regular learning curriculum. So about like early 2000 to about 2010 was peak education. 2010 onward is when we've seen the at first gradual decline, and now it's just gone off a fucking cliff. In the last 5 years, education has gone off an absolute fucking cliff. No Child Left Behind started in 2003, 2004. Yeah, but it didn't really start affecting people until 2010. Because by 2010 is when the number of dumb kids that No Child Left Behind was aiding had reached that point where it was starting to edge into the predominance level. Before then, No Child Left Behind, you'd maybe get like a couple students per graduating class that were carried on through No Child Left Behind. By 2010, that number of students that were carried through by No Child Left Behind had increased to, are we sure about this kind of levels, and only got worse ever since. And then, as I said, in the last 5 years, it's just gone off a cliff.
Literacy and comprehension that are issues here. There are other things that apparently Gen Z particularly, and Gen Alpha as well, cannot do. Schools have apparently been removing analog clocks for some time because students just don't know how to read them. Sorry in advance for the explosion noises in this next clip. I did try to edit them out, but it kind of made the audio really wonky, so just know I did my best, but this generation loves these weird noises. I don't know.
Dude, I've never seen one of these before. I'm used to digital, man.
You seen a clock before?
No. 7:12.
Sure.
Is it 12:10?
12:10.
12:09?
12:09. Yeah, you're close.
No, 9:25.
9:25. Close. You're 5 minutes off.
I think it's 9:02.
9:02.
2:09.
2:09. Okay.
Well, yeah, the fine
Why would it
moves,
be
I know.
9:02? Why would we be in school at 9:02? Why wouldn't we be in school at 9:02?
We also know that they can't read cursive.
Does this word sound?
God.
I don't know.
Medium. Close. Miniature. Get any of the letters?
And the I.
And so many.
Yeah, as I said before, with the cursive, that one's kind of forgivable because because cursive has not been really used as a standard in practice for quite a while. So it's that again, the cursive, I can kind of forgive it a little bit. It would still be a good idea to teach it and to learn it. I'm not saying it's not a good idea, but I can kind of understand why, considering it's never used. Analog clocks are still everywhere. So learning how to read an analog clock, that is still a very useful skill. Cursive, aside from in video games and movies, you don't see it anywhere. So it's immaterial. Where are analog clocks? Everywhere. Businesses, hospitals, on your phone. You can have an analog clock on your phone. They are everywhere. And analog clocks basically are for the 9 times out of 10 they're battery powered. So when the power goes out and when the internet goes out, you have the analog clock to keep time. And not to mention, How about when you're doing like racing? You use an analog clock for the second hand to basically determine, the counted seconds. Whereas a lot of digital clocks, you don't necessarily see the seconds.
Any of them have that terrible Gen Z stare that we know and love so much.
This is a Gen Z stare everybody's talking about.
Traumatizing. I know you Gen Zers like to think that you're so much cooler than us, but you're not. You have fewer neural pathways. As a complete aside, I'm not sure how many of you have seen the show The Devil's Plan. It's on...
Yes. You bring up an excellent point. Shoddy, you bring up an excellent point of why analog clocks are good. Directionality. Directionality. Saying 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock for directionality. Those are based upon a clock face. They are still used by many different industries to this day. So there you go.
Netflix. You can watch it on American Netflix. It is the
what?
show The Devil's Plan. As a complete aside, I'm not sure how many of you have seen the show The Devil's Plan. It's on Netflix. You can watch it on American Netflix. It is a Korean sort of reality show, I guess. And it basically is looking for the smartest person in this group of other super nerds. But when they lose challenges or things go wrong, the show locks participants in rooms and in prison and forces them to spell and do maths. Meanwhile, American reality shows have half-naked people molesting each other on beaches. And I actually think that's such an insane juxtaposition for so many of our issues. Koreans have a bunch of shows built around being the smartest person from a group of smart people.
Wait, so this goes to culture, is because Eastern cultures highly prize intellect and highly prize education. Like, America needs to start taking notes from Asiatic countries like Japan, like Korea, and even, I can't believe I'm going to say this, China. Because those Eastern countries, those Asiatic countries, prize education. When you are a young man or woman in school, you are told that you will get your fucking education. You need to get an education, because if you do not have an education, you will amount to nothing. And what happens is these countries have some of the highest educational levels in the world. Japan, China, South Korea, all of these countries have some of the highest education levels on the planet. Why? Because when these kids are in school, they make sure that they learn. They say, you will fucking learn. And that needs to come to America, and it needs to come to Canada. That mentality needs to come to the West. Because if it doesn't, like, the Eastern countries are already leapfrogging over the Western countries in terms of graduation statistics, SAT scores, or whatever their equivalent is over in the Asiatic countries. We're going to be seeing a gross disparity between the two of them. Between East and West. So we're already the West is already way behind the eight ball on it, and unless governments start getting the stick out of their ass or getting their head out of their ass, as the case may be, and saying, okay, we need to start basically taking that culture and bringing it here to actually get our kids to fucking learn something for once, then basically, the Eastern countries are going to take over, especially with China. They're going to take over because they're going to have a populace of actually educated people. And guess what? In matters of business and just running society and invention and what's the word I'm looking for? Innovation. The Eastern cultures are going to fucking eat the Western culture's lunch. And the Western culture is going to start working for the Eastern culture en masse. And they will basically take over if this keeps going.
Our reality shows, on the other hand, are based around who can be the biggest I think one
Those
of the
cultures do
many
not
problems
practice
today
discipline.
with education is that no one can expect excellence out of children. Because if you expect excellence and some of the kids aren't as excellent as other kids, then those kids will feel left out. So
Too bad. If you don't expect excellence from children, then none of them will even attempt to achieve excellence. They say, why should I bother? When you expect excellence, you will get excellence. And some kids that don't do as well as others, unfortunate, but that is life. Now you're teaching kids not everybody is equal. That's a very valuable life lesson is no, everybody is not equal. Some people are smarter than others. Some people are going to get the good jobs and go on to do great careers because they are smart people. Some people are dumb and the only thing they're going to be able to do is put the fries in the bag. It's a very important life lesson for kids. But if you don't even try to strive for excellence, then no one will achieve excellence. And everyone will be less than mediocre. Everyone will be basically dumb.
inevitably we get this boat of mediocrity, and if any kid falls in the water,
What's the
there's a high
mediocrity?
probability they can't swim. One of the primary arguments that I ran into again and again, reading teacher accounts from around the internet and listening to my friends who have kids in school, and also listening to the teachers on social media.
Yes, I know. Some are like, bearing in mind, when I'm talking about, when all of my raging about this, I'm not factoring in those that have legitimate learning disabilities, not the ones that pretend they have learning disabilities, because just like people that pretend they have autism, pretending you have a learning disability because the internet said so is drastically on the rise, and they use that all the time of, I have a learning disability, I'm dyslexic, when they're not. They're just fucking lazy. So when it comes to individuals that have legitimate learning disabilities or legitimate mental health disorders, again, such as mental retardation, autism, I'm not including those individuals in my rage. Okay, just bear that in mind. Those that are have legitimate learning disability issue or a legitimate mental health disorder, they're not on my rage arc. Okay, just so we're clear on that.
Media is that a lot of people feel like this whole No Child Left Behind thing has actually destroyed learning environments for kids who actually want to be there. And it's so sad seeing schools in the US kill off their gifted programs so they don't discriminate against non-gifted kids.
That's insane. That's schools that cut off their gifted programs are literally cutting off kids at the knees. That's fucking criminal to do that. That the reason is, oh, well, we don't want them to feel different. Like, how do you think, most of the significant advancements in science, in technology, in medical biology, in astrophysics, like, how do you think that was possible? It was possible because schools had gifted programs that fostered greatness, fostered high intellect, nurtured it, and basically helped it to grow. That was the purpose of these gifted programs. Removing them and forcing highly intelligent kids to basically sit in class with the dumb fucks, you're hurting them. You're literally hurting them, and you're dumbing them down because you're not fostering their gift. You're telling these actually gifted children, you're not special. You're not special, and learn third grade grammar when you're in the 11th grade. And what's the result of that? You're not going to see an innovation. You're not going to see advancements in science, technology, medical biological sciences. You're not going to see any of that. And what's going to happen is the West is going to fall behind drastically in the world. It's like this is the homicidal empathy I was talking about. Okay, people talk about suicidal empathy. This is homicidal empathy. This is being so empathetic, you are literally going to, in the end, destroy these kids. That's the homicidal empathy. Oh, we want to make sure that little Jimmy, who has an IQ of 4, doesn't feel left out. So we're going to take, the kids with an IQ of 180 and sit them right next to Jimmy so Jimmy doesn't feel left out. That helps no one. That literally helps fucking no one.
Yes, this is a real thing. At this point now, I probably watched about 100 videos of teachers explaining their various reasons why kids, and I guess now adults, can't read. I do think that this problem is multifaceted, and there are absolutely socioeconomic factors at play here. But if we're being honest, I do think that a lot of this also starts at home. Fewer adults themselves are reading for their own enrichment, and so it follows that they won't read to their kids. And some people are just straight up blaming millennials for why Gen Alpha is the way that Gen Alpha is.
Oh my god.
Millennial parents are why Gen Alpha can't read. 73% of Gen Alpha parents are millennials. They're the person who gave the kid a tablet at 0 years old because mommy has to watch 16 and Pregnant.
Not wrong.
And now your child is in school and they are skipping popcorn reading because none of these kids can read. The tablet just taught them how to put in prompts, which is why it's so easy for them to use things like AI. AI doesn't take any brain power. It literally deletes it. If you want to guarantee that you are a smart individual inside of the next 10 years and your brain isn't literally soup, you would start reading books, you would start physically writing, and you would stop using AI for most things.
Do not let millennials
Teachers are so concerned, why don't they go on strike and say shutting down schools for higher pay? I got a better one for you. If teachers are so concerned, why don't they go on strike instead of taking their kids to protest rallies? Why don't teachers actually go on strike and say, hey, these kids aren't learning. We need to be able to teach them properly. We need the parents to step up. Why aren't they doing that instead of saying, okay, kids, let's go to an anti-ICE protest? How about that? Teachers' unions won't let them strike, then kill the unions off. Then kill the unions off. Simple. It's honestly really fucking simple. If the teachers' unions won't let them strike, get rid of the unions. Unions have been a detriment to, generally speaking, have been a detriment for about the last 30 years, roughly. Unions have been causing, unions have basically been stymieing the actual workers by being corrupt and taking in money and not actually helping the workers for probably about the last 30 years, at least. So get rid of the unions. Teachers, if teachers barred unions, say, yep, I'm not in the union anymore. Get out, and if all of them get out of the union, unions got to go away, because if there's no members, the union's doing nothing. They're going to have no money. It will disappear. And then teachers could actually strike and say, hey, we need to be able to educate our kids. Parents, you need to actually help us educate your kids instead of taking them to fucking ICE rallies.
Most things.
Do not let millennials bully you on politics anymore. They have raised the most illiterate generation in human history. It is not the phones. I got my first phone when I was 11 in the 6th grade. It's not the phones, it's the parenting. They're not reading to their kids. They're not monitoring their homework. They cannot be talking to them daily to be.
Listen, Trump wanting to get rid of the Department of Education. He's not going to get rid of the Department of Education. He's not going to do that. That was again just bullshit gobbledygook talk because it made for a good soundbite. That's literally all it was. He's not getting rid of the Department of Education. It's not going to happen. Like it's like so many things I said. It makes him sound tough, and he's never going to do it.
Be this illiterate. It's impossible. On top of the woke, gentle parenting, participation trophy, fucking horseshit. Authoritarian parenting is the only parenting that works.
As much as we can knock
absolutely correct. You know when kids actually learned? You know when kids actually took getting an education seriously? When a parent could take a belt across their kid's ass for misbehaving. When parents could actually discipline their children, kids paid attention in school. Because if they came again, this goes back to what I was talking about before. Remember what I was mentioning before? How fear is a true motivator because it fucking works? How many of you are old enough that when you were in school, you studied your ass off because if you got an F on a test, you got a belt or a switch across the ass? Show of hands. How many of you studied your ass off because you didn't want to catch that belt? Yeah. And how many of you that had that fear and studied your ass off so you wouldn't catch that belt, how many of you received a good education and how many of you went on to get at least a decent job? Okay, bear palm, belt, switch, insert whatever here. How many of you, yeah, you got a good education because you were scared to bring home that F. So you got a good, you studied your ass off, you got a good education, and you went on to get a good job. And yes, I got my ass beat a couple times when I was a kid. I did. I got a disciplinary spanking several times when I was a kid. You know what happened after I got that disciplinary spanking? I didn't do that shit again. I learned it. I veered my lesson, and I didn't do that shit again. Parents need to actually start disciplining their children again. And I'm not talking about abuse before some stupid retard online goes, well, that's abuse. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm talking about bring back giving the kid a spanking when they misbehave. That's what I'm talking about. Bring back corporal, effectively speaking, corporal punishment.
Parents,
give them a fucking spanking when they fuck up.
It's also a part of why I suffer depression.
Okay, well, that obviously they went beyond discipline and went into abuse. That's why I specified I'm not talking about abuse. That is why I deliberately made that very specific specification of I was not talking about abuse. I'm talking about just giving your kid a spanking if your child misbehaves. Okay, and I, as I've said before, I'd like a light spanking. Not an actual, when I got a disciplinary spanking, that wasn't a light spanking. I did not enjoy it. Okay? Yeah, but again, that fear of getting that spanking for bringing home an F, guess what? That made you study. That made you actually put effort into your studies to learn. And you actually got an education. And you graduated high school being able to read, being able to write, being able to do arithmetic, knowing the basics of science, and you were able to go on to college and get a college education, or maybe you went into the military, or maybe you went into the trades and you got a good trades job, which again still requires you to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic. With these kids that are graduating, not even being able to read, they can't even get into the trades because they can't read, because that is crucial. Being able to read and write is crucial even in the trades. So yeah, bring back corrective action. There you go. Bring back the corrective action. Put fear into these kids to make them study. It's going to sound all scary. Oh, you're going to scare the kids. Yeah, because they need it. That's part of growing up. Part of growing up is experiencing that fear that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, if you don't do your job, you'll receive punishment. It starts at a young age, it translates into college, and then it translates into work. That the fear of that, if you don't do your job, you're going to receive a consequence. The kids these days don't receive any consequences whatsoever, so that nothing scares them, so they don't fucking care. Even from a criminality standpoint, they don't care because they know, oh, if I get busted, nothing's going to happen. I'll get probation. I won't go to jail. I won't receive punishment. If you start you start instilling that fear of if you don't get your shit together, you're going to actually get a punishment that's going to scare you, that's going to translate through the remainder of their life.
Many parts of the American school system, I feel like a lot of people overlook the fact that you've got kids who, can't read, can't write, can't do a lot of things, and then you have teachers who are having to corral 20 of these kids every single day. And a lot of people don't consider in these conversations the massive behavioral issues that kids are going to school with every single day the teachers have to deal with as well. In order to make this video, I was talking to a friend of mine who's got 2 kids who I think are in grade 1. She has read to them since they were tiny. She reads with them most nights from what she said to me. And she said that when she sent them to school, Number one, teachers were wildly impressed with her kids' reading ability, which shocked her. But then also she has told me that a lot of the other parents have admitted that they don't read with their kids at all. And so there's just fundamentally a lack of exposure to reading and to words and to new words that these kids have or don't have because their parents are not taking the time to do these things with them. My friend's position is I've been reading to my kids since they were this big, and that's not an odd thing. This is just part of our routine. This is part of what we do every day, and apparently this is a staggering concept to so many other parents. Magnify this terrible reality by an entire generation and you've got some pretty big problems. Trends show us fewer people read each year, even though literacy is one of the biggest indicators of success. And it's not just one generation, it's basically every generation reaching more for tech that delivers faster results rather than books, which take time and effort to absorb.
Get this key the distinction here. So we got 21% of adults in the U.S. are illiterate in 2024. That should be terrifying to everybody. 54% of adults have literacy below a sixth grade level. 20% are below a fifth grade level. This is a number that should affect that everybody should be sitting up and paying attention. Low levels of literacy cost the U.S. up to $2.2 trillion. So this 21 and 54% is costing the United States $2.2 trillion. You know why? You know why it's costing that much money? Because they can't get a fucking job because they can't read, so they go on social assistance. It's the EBT tribes. That's what's costing the U.S. up to $2.2 trillion a year. Is because they are illiterate, they can't get a job, and so they go on social assistance. And they just basically sit at home and smoke weed and play video games all day and collect money. And it costs the taxpayers $2.2 trillion. Yeah.
We're going to do the rest of the video without the big lights on because I am getting a sinus headache. So I love allergies, man. It's so fun. This is one of those topics where I legitimately haven't even scratched the surface of what's going on here, all the reasons this is happening, all the many variables that are taking place to create this SHIT show of a situation. But as somebody who has loved reading her entire life, it makes me so sad to know that other people are not reading at all anymore, and by extension, their children aren't reading. And frankly, I don't want to see books fall out of favor. I don't want to.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm an author. I'm an author. I wrote my books for myself, but I wrote my books for others too. Do you have any idea how heartbreaking it is that more and more people are not going to be able to read the books that I basically put my heart and soul into writing? That is so disheartening. That is literally heartbreaking that I've got like all these books that I've written and put out and published, and like people have enjoyed. You guys have told me that you guys have enjoyed them, those of you that have read them. And I've got almost an entire generation that is not going to be able to read them, that won't read them because they can't read. Like, that's legitimately heartbreaking as a writer to hear this. It's frustrating and it's heartbreaking.
To see people not being curious about language and about words and adding new words to their vocabularies or learning how to create more complex sentences, sounding more elevated. I don't want to see these things fall by the wayside. And actually, as far as vocabularies go, I think one of the reasons why there's an over-reliance on the word like is because...
Oh my God, she just said something that just clicked with me, where she was referencing vocabulary. Oh my. Now it makes sense. Okay, this is going to be off topic. Shocking, I know. How many times have I said in regards to, yeah, you got it. You Super Lane, you and me, we're there. We're doing the TISM connection. said plenty of times before, the only reason why people listen to Hassan is because they're stupid, and he managed to accumulate an extensive vocabulary in college, and that was it. He's an idiot. He is an unintelligent person, but he was able to achieve a good vocabulary. Well, his parents bought his degree. Think about it. What is probably the standard majority of age group that is a typical Hassan viewer? Late teens, early 20s, I'd say. That would probably be about the average, is late teens, early 20s. Look at when they would have gone through school. You know, this lack of education has been going on for this significant decline in education has been for probably about the last 5 years at minimum. So those Hassan viewers were in school during the time when education has gone off a cliff. So he's using his extensive vocabulary when he talks to them. He's very wordy. He uses very technical sounding verbiage and jargon. And the people that are viewing him, the people that are in his chat listening to him, they're illiterate. They are uneducated. They don't have a substantive vocabulary. And so all they know is they're just sitting and listening to him going, wow, he sounds so smart. He's using really big words, and he actually sounds like he knows what they mean. I better listen to him because he sounds so smart. Once again, proving my point that this extensive lack of education with Zoomers and Alpha is leading to the destruction of society because they are very easily duped by a person like Hassan, who actually has some extensive vocabulary and can very easily con these people into thinking that he's smart and that they should listen to him and follow his lead, because he makes it sound like he knows what he's talking about through the use of an extensive vocabulary. This just basically lends further credence to the fact that I'm right. Again. Once again, I'm right.
People these days fundamentally lack the ability to make complex sentences. And so it's much easier when you don't quite know what you want to say to use like or or are, some other filler phrase or word, rather than pause, think of the word you want to use, I'll get to that after the video. On. Ultimately, this is a huge issue with huge sweeping societal.
So it's an issue that I prefer audiobooks because 1, ADHD and sitting still, 2, especially now I'm usually going. No, I have no issue with audiobooks. See, bearing in mind, like Moose, you are an adult. You are an adult. You are an educated adult. You are a literate adult who can read, write, do arithmetic. I have no issue with people enjoying audiobooks versus print books. For adults that are perfectly literate and are perfectly intelligent and have graduated, from school, being capable of literally just reading. I'm not criticizing that at all, because we're not talking about the current adults, like the millennials or the older Zoomers. Not referring to that. I'm referring to the current crop of Zoomers and Alphas. These are the individuals that we currently have issue with. That's all.
Implications. And one of the things that I do want to say here before I close this video out is, if you are somebody who wants to get more into reading, but you find that you don't have the attention span anymore to do so, that makes a lot of sense, because the doom scrolling that you do on TikTok or Instagram or wherever, that is directly destroying your ability to sit down and read a book. So if you find yourself incapable, to begin with, if you find yourself incapable of sitting down and concentrating, you have to stick with it. And eventually, over time, especially if you stop scrolling at night, you will have a better attention span. You will be able to concentrate again. But I think one of the primary ways that we fix all of this is legitimately just by reading books. Picking up books as an adult and reading them yourself, going to the library, buying them from the bookshop, but also sitting sitting down with your kids and reading books to your kids and getting them interested and excited about language. I will even make some book suggestions in the description box of ones that I have enjoyed in the past and books that I have read recently and really enjoyed as well. Ken Follett, really any Ken Follett book, but Ken Follett, Pillars of the Earth, amazing. Absolutely read it. If you like historical fiction, this one is for you. The Silent Patient, so good. I got this for Christmas. This is a new one that I read. I couldn't put it down. I read it in like a weekend because I wanted to know what was happening. The Bronze Horseman, I have read this so many times. It was for a really long time my favorite book. It does have adult scenes in it, but they're not written like the creepy crap today, like the smut books today. This is a war book. It's also a love story.
No Morning Glory
it's
milking
awesome. It's
farm.
set in World War II. I highly recommend this one if you are into that kind of thing. All right, that is enough out of me. In the end, guys, I have to say that this is a really disturbing issue as far as I am concerned.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think how we fix this is make reading a thing again, make it interesting again, make people want to read again. Because if not, I think we will end up living in the documentary that is Idiocracy. Now on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder, check out Free Cash using the link in the description or scanning that QR code on screen. Like I said, was quite surprised the Free Cash is actually a thing that actually earns you money, but it does, and I think I'm level 2000 on my little solitaire game now, so that's probably kind of embarrassing. Anyway, absolutely check them out. This is something that's very legitimate. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is it alarming to you that a lot of young people fundamentally don't know how to read? What do you think of the fact that millennials are being blamed for not reading to their children, and therefore those little kids have a really negative relationship with literacy? What do you make of kids not knowing the words that they're reading off the page and not being able to explain back what those words mean? And what do you think of those kids going off to university where their illiteracy is basically in a way being normalized and being accepted by the education system?
Yeah.
Is all of this good? Is it bad? Is it sort of the net effect of technological advancements? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here, you're not subscribed already, and you'd like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Like I always say, my wonderful little chickadee people, I hope you stay safe and well and make very good choices. Go and read a book, and I will see your wonderful little faces in the next video.
Okay, so to cap this off, I actually want to address something that one of you guys said, which is salient cap point to this. Scarier how many don't know how to reason, but illiteracy is definitely worrisome as well. Literacy would actually address that, because that has been a very common complaint, is that kids in school these days have zero critical thinking skills. Being able to read, literacy, would be a fundamental part of developing those critical thinking skills. Because how do you think they achieve these critical thinking skills in the first place? Is they read something. They are reading, either they read an English textbook or they're reading a science textbook, and the science textbook postulates a problem, or the English book postulates a problem, and you as the student by reading that have to think about, okay, how can I address this problem? How can I figure this out? And there you get your critical thinking skills. So literacy is a core component in developing those critical thinking skills during your tenure as a student. It is. So in the end, a lot of it all boils down to just basic literacy, basic math skills. If you don't have that, you're nothing.
Burns bright, bright.